Hey everyone. So, what is wrong with DECI, right? Like, is there something wrong with this token? It always seems to be at a discount. All the other maxi tokens are, above one hex at least in value. So, what's the deal with DECI, right? So, like, when the stake started for all these tokens, people put in one hex, they receive one hex, they receive one token back, kind of representing, their share in the stake. And DECI is often, it's not there today on Ethereum, but on Pulse Chain, it's often at a discount to the mint, which means that every single minter of DECI is kind of underwater on their investment, and people are like actively selling. They're actively selling their DECI for less than what they minted it for, and that's kind of strange, right? Especially when you look at the landscape of other stake pools and everything is kind of like at a premium to the mint, like definitely, and sometimes at a premium to even the backing value, right? The mint plus the yield earned so far. So what is and just also like the scale of the discount? It's like at such a massive discount. It's like okay, geez, is this an opportunity or is there like a bug or like what exactly is going on here? And this was exactly my like thinking or my exactly what I was looking at when Pulse Chain launched. A bit of a backstory, but when Pulse Chain launched, I was kind of looking for discrepancies in value. I wanted to kind of not randomly arbitrage stuff, but I wanted to arbitrage things that were objectively too cheap. And I saw DECI and I was like, it's like zero point 0.6 or 7 hex. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, it should be worth at least one hex if I understand, how Maxi launched and everything like that. And so that caught my attention and led me down this rabbit hole of kind of trying to value these state pools. But yeah, my kind of conclusion, like I wanted to dig into the numbers just to really justify my investment thesis. At that time, I did just buy DESI because I was like, it's at such a discount. I was like, I want to get this thing. Um, and yeah, since then, kind of, I've been loving the discount, and I think it's personally for me like a big opportunity, a big way to increase kind of like my staking kind of league or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's what sparked my attention. And even if you look at this table now, like you can see, like DESI stands out, right? It is at a discount. And anyway, kind of like what does that discount mean? And kind of dove into all of that. But I want to go into like some of the reasons why DESI is cheaper versus even like at a discount to its mint potentially than the other tokens. And one big reason, and this is one that one of the founders often mentions, and that's just the holder distribution is different, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, there was a mint phase for each of these tokens, and when Maxi originally launched, it quite quickly went to a raging premium. It went to like two hex in value. One maxi was worth two hex very shortly after the mint phase ended, and you can see that there's quite a big discrepancy between the backing value and the market value of maxi. And so when the perpetual was launched, I guess a few months after, people were speculating on DESI doing a similar thing because it was the longest perpetual stake, being 10 years long. So there was like DESI was the most popular of all of the perpetuals. That's why its supply is the highest. I think at like around 500 million tokens. So yeah, but what ended up happening? I mean, the market, is often wrong. Like if most people think something, it's often wrong. So what happened is it immediately went to a discount and dropped below the mint value, as all of those people that thought that they could get a quick 2x on their hex started to realize that their plan wasn't going to work out. And you can kind of see there's a bit of a relief rally here, but then it went to a deeper and deeper discount as more people sold. And so we have been sitting around this, 40% discount area for quite a while. And you can see as the backing has increased, that discount gets bigger and bigger if the market price doesn't, keep up. Right? It has been going up a bit recently, but there is still kind of like a big discrepancy between even the mint and the value of DECI. So on Maxi, you can kind of see that it does oscillate between like at a premium and a discount to the backing value. For the shorter stakes, it does track quite a bit closer just because the stakes are ending sooner. Now, that is actually quite an interesting point. Like I've kind of brushed over that, but it's worth going into as like a bit of a tangent. Why would shorter stakes have the market price track more closely with the backing value? Like why? Like does it have to? Why would it do that? Why would longer stakes not track closer? And so the reason behind that is kind of, you can kind of think about the extremes, right? So if base was worth 1 hex all the way until the last day, right? Someone is going to buy base and they're going to benefit from a crazy high APY because they're getting essentially 10%, 12% in one day. And if you extrapolate 12% in one day out to 1 year, you're basically timesing 12% by 365. And so you're getting whatever, 3,000% APY. And so just because it's so short, it leaves less room for kind of long-term arbitrages, just because there's no time. Like the redemption is so soon that any discount is just going to get eaten up. With DECI, something to note is that if you're getting a discount here, firstly, it could stay at a discount for quite a while. There's 9 years left. It could be at a pretty consistent discount for the entire lifespan of DECI, so just be ready for that. But also, like, it shouldn't, I mean, it should probably not, so the true value of all of these tokens is somewhere between the mint and somewhere between the backing, so in the middle there. It shouldn't, if you think about the extremes, it shouldn't be the mint value, because then you have a situation like base, like I said, if it's at the mint all the way to the last day, someone gets an unfairly good deal and gets crazy APY in the last part of the stake. And it shouldn't really be at the backing value because, take DECI for example. If you buy DECI right at the backing value today, you're not earning APY on the yield that you're buying, right? You're just earning APY on the portion of the stake that was involved in the mint, right? So there is a portion, if you buy DECI at the backing value, there is a portion of the value that you've just bought which is not earning APY, right? It's just sitting there. It's yield, doing nothing, sitting there. And so you're kind of just locking your money up and waiting 9 years, which also isn't really fair if you think about it. Like, why should you pay for yield, or why should you just lock up your money and just keep it there for 9 years and then take it out and not earn anything on it, right? So it's not really fair for it to be priced at the backing, for any of these tokens to be priced at the backing. And it's not really fair for it to be priced like at the mint or below the mint. So it's kind of somewhere between here as the fair value. It's just that the shorter stakes are so short that you'll be able to redeem for the backing value very soon. And so that kind of removes this like kind of long drawn out waiting period where if you've bought yield which you're not really earning anything on and you've locked up, it's not the biggest deal because you're just waiting an extra year or something, or a year and a half for Tria, for example. So that's kind of my explanation for why there should be a bit of a discount on these longer stakes. I mean, even Maxi, in my opinion, it should be cheaper than it currently is, because if you look at the effective APY that you're getting in dollars for Maxi, it's quite a bit lower than the APY that it should be getting, or it is generating on itself in HEX. And it's lower than kind of a solo stake. On the Ethereum side, on the Pulse chain side, it's a bit better. Like, it's pretty much bang on what a solo stake would get. So yeah, is there something wrong with DECI? I wouldn't say so. I'd just say that yes, the holder distribution, there are a lot of short-term minded people probably still holding, I think. But also just like there should be a discount on it, right? Just because it's so long. Now, another video I want to do is just looking into the dollar amounts that the top whales have, because I think the top whales have around $25 million right now. And they also, in DECI, there are 12 dolphins, like actual HEX dolphins, currently holding DECI. Yeah, that's the highest out of any token. So there's a lot of kind of top-heavy economic value that could be sold, right? Like guaranteed, we know that they have this amount of money. Obviously, there could be an influx of buyers, which could bring DECI to a premium. We don't know that. That's kind of an unknown. But what we do know is that there is more economic weight in DECI ready to sell than any other token. So how I'm kind of posturing myself is I would say for my time preference, my time horizon is, long-term, 10 years plus. I don't need to get super rich like next year, right? That's just me. Other people could be different. I love the APY on DECI. I'm kind of treating DECI as kind of like an illiquid HEX stake, high APY HEX stake. I may have to hold it for the next 9 years. I'm kind of okay with that. I've positioned myself where I do have some liquid HEX as well, just to capitalize on like if prices get like insane. But you kind of need to make that decision for yourself, right? Like personally, I would only really buy discounts, like when discount opportunities arise on some of these shorter term stakes, I'll buy them. But like I'm not a huge fan of buying, like just personally, right? Like just because of the APY, like I'm not a big fan of base, just because like I love APY. And I'm quite aware of the numbers, obviously. But yeah, so I'm kind of like okay with not being able to sell my DECI, or it being kind of at a perpetual discount, right, until redemption. Just because there is a very long-term 9-year arbitrage opportunity here, I think, for me personally, not financial advice, but yeah, like if you like HEX, then like DECI's cool. Like you can earn a lot more HEX. So yeah, I'll end the video there. But there's nothing wrong with DECI. Long and short, like there's no bugs. It is the other interesting thing, right, is DECI's contract. If you look on Etherscan, it is exactly the same as Base, as Trio, as Lucky, right? So all the perpetuals have the exact same contract. Just when they were, when the contracts were started, like when Dipcatcher started them, he just set a different parameter for the stake length. Like literally, that is the only difference, and it's not even in the code. Like that's a variable that you input when you run the function to start, as far as I'm aware. So like on Etherscan, there, if you look at, there's an area on Etherscan where you can kind of see identical or similar contracts. Like it flags, or not flags, but it shows you that there are a few other contracts with the identical code. And so the code in the contract, the Solidity contract for DECI, Lucky, Trio, and Base are exactly the same. And so there's nothing like particularly wrong with DECI. It's just like the holder distribution and The last point that I mentioned, I'm rambling a bit here, but I think there is kind of like this DECI effect. Like it has a discount, so it has a discount. Like people have seen the discount and stayed away from it, or like they've seen the discount and thought, oh, there's something wrong with it, or like, why is it at that discount? Or maybe it will be at that discount forever. And so that also has played into the fact that it hasn't been able to kind of like get away from this discount to the mint. Um, so that's also something to just bear in mind. But yeah, I'll leave it there. And there's nothing particularly, anything special about DECI. It just happens to be cheap right now versus HEX. So yeah, I'll leave it there and see you guys soon.